up, everybody? Welcome to What's Good Games. I'm Andrea Renee, joined as always by my lovely panel of co-hosts, Miss Alexa Ray.
Hey, girl, hey.
Welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I'm alive. It's good to be alive.
It's good to have you back. I'm glad you feel better.
Me too.
We missed you last week.
I missed you guys so much.
Everybody out there missed you as well. And of course, we're joined remotely by Ms. Christine Steimer.
Hello.
I love this new change of scenery that you have going on.
Yes, it's, I would say back in my childhood bedroom, but this is not my childhood bedroom. I don't know whose childhood bedroom this was, but it wasn't mine.
I also love your lip color. Beautiful shade of red.
Thank you.
We'll have to keep track of which lip color you wear every week in the comments. Of course, we are also joined by Miss Brittany Brombacher. Welcome back, lady.
Hello. Thank you. Just FYI, Christine is making me laugh a lot today. I don't know why.
That's
I'm
good.
just laughing so hard at everything she's doing.
Really?
Yes.
That's perfect, though. Laughs are great. Never be afraid to laugh.
Never.
You laughing
So,
at me in a bad way.
well, maybe. Don't be sad about it. It'll be fine. Okay, so this week is a really exciting week. Today we are recording on June 1st, so that means it is our first month of having official patrons. Thank you so much to everybody who is part of our Patreon community. We wouldn't be here without you. We are so grateful for all of the support that you have given us. So if you guys are not part of our Patreon community, you can get in it at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. Because it is our first month of giving our shout outs to our turbo patrons and our upper level reward patrons, we do have a little bit of a long list of people that we need to thank at the top of this episode, but hopefully you guys will bear with us because these people are fantastic for supporting us, you know, at that turbo patron level or above. So I have a bunch of names here. I'm going to do my best to not mess up any of
Bless
these
ya.
names. I apologize in advance if I mispronounce your name. Please feel free to correct me in the Patreon posts, in a YouTube comment, on Twitter, on Facebook, wherever you feel the need to say, yo, Andrea, you fucked up my name. I'm sorry. So I want to start with thanking our two sponsors. First, we have Take This. That is the charity that we talked about last week. They were at MomoCon. So Take This is a mental health awareness charity. And we are really grateful to be working with them. They do fantastic work. And we hope that we're going to be able to get to do some good work together. So thank you to that organization for supporting us. We also have a sponsor in Alex Rogopoulos, a.k.a. the Dump Lord. So when we saw that he was coming on board to support us, I got really excited. I am a gigantic Harmonix fan. So Alex Rogopoulos is one of the co-founders of Harmonix. Of course, you probably know them from Rock Band fame. They also created Guitar Hero. They created Dance Central, a bunch of other really cool games. Frequency, my personal favorite. And the name The Dump Lord came about because of the Amplitude Kickstarter, where he was posing as somebody in the Harmonix forums who wanted Harmonix to remake Amplitude. Turns out it was the guy who founded Harmonix. So it was a really funny bit. So we really appreciate his support. So thank you so much for that as well. And another shout out to WGG producer Lincoln Davis. Thank you for supporting us at the show. We haven't quite decided what his topic is going to be yet, but we are working on it and we will bring that to you guys soon. So now we have the long list of all of our awesome turbo patrons. You guys are fantastic. Thank you again. And here we go. This is quite a long list of names, but here's your official
Go.
shout
Good
out.
list.
All right, here we go. First up, Kyle Heyman, Gilbert Zavala Jr., Professor Metal Gear. That doesn't seem like a real name. Doug Deshazer. I don't know. Tom Bach, David Iacolucci, Lincoln Thurber, Benjamin Pardue, Tara Bruno. Oh, we love you, Tara. Dennis Hampton, Brandon Nichols, Stephen McPherson, Just Josh. It literally just says Josh.
Just Josh.
Eric Ginn, or Jin maybe. Stephen Insler. Stage of Development, which is a fantastic production that focuses on how video games are made. That's cool. Bas Patterson, Christopher Galloway, Sean P. Malloy, John Drake.
John Drake. Who's that?
I don't know who that is. Juan Iobo, or Lobo, maybe. Just Jason. Hopefully it's not Friday the 13th, Jason. Danny
Never know.
O'Dwyer, which is
Thanks,
fantastic, friend of the
Danny.
show. He also has his own Patreon at No Clips. So that's patreon.com/Danny O'Dwyer. He does video game documentaries. So if you guys want to check out some other cool content,
So
please
good.
head over to his page as well. Adam Rapone, which is very nice. Stephanie Fitzwilliam, who is a brand new mama. She just had a baby. Congrats. Adam who? I don't know.
Just Adam.
Just Adam.
Just Adam.
Harrison Pink, Stephen Lynn, Brotherhood 93, which feels like a screen name. Per Kilstofte, Mike Lynch, Lindsay Kelsey, Anthony Murphy, Stephen Chong, Cher Stewart, thank you, Cher, Oswaldo Sandoval, ooh, I love that name, Ethan Anderson, Greg Fletcher, Mike Murphy, William Zimmerman, Elijah Steele, Duncan Stanley,
The Dunk
who
Man.
we are working with to come up with some cool merchandise for you guys eventually. We're prototyping. We've got Joe Schleif, Annette Gonzalez, Amgo, Christian Rodriguez, Troy, Molly Bittner, Ron Mann, Adam Boys of
Adam
Iron
Boys.
Galaxy fame,
Oh, hey.
and Tracy Enert. Hi, Mom. You guys, my mom backed us.
Aw.
Thanks, Mom.
Your mom's so cool.
I think the just single name patrons need to be just whatever their name is, like just Troy,
just
Adam.
Josh.
Just
Yeah,
Adam.
and also
Josh.
just FYI, if you're wondering, if you're like, wait, that was me, you need to put your name into Patreon for us to know it. Like if a lot of those people just didn't have a last name and put it to Patreon, so
Maybe
or
they're
now
like
just Troy,
Madonna
or just Josh. Yeah,
or Cher. You never know.
Josh.
So thank you again to all of you. We will be posting on our Patreon page about all of the exclusive rewards that we have there. That's exclusive streams, exclusive videos, all that stuff. That's just for our patrons. If you guys, again, want to learn more, that's patreon.com/WestCoastGames. Okay, now it's time for the show. Ladies,
Ba-ba-da-ba.
it's pre-E3.
Pre-3.
Meaning it's not next week, it's the week after. So we have tons of news, tons of leaks are finally happening that we're getting confirmations on. I mean, we have all kinds of discussions to be had. So let's just go ahead and get right to it. We actually had a little bit of breaking news right before
Breaking news.
we started the show. Alexa Ray, lay it on us.
So Nintendo, when they announced the Switch, were talking. Thank you.
Hold on, let me fix this. Keep talking.
They said that they wanted to do like an online service where you could play classic games and use online services. The online service will cost $20 a year, which is a pretty good deal, and will launch at some point next year. You can get a 1-month sub for $4 or a 3-month sub for $8. It will not have voice chat or online lobby features. Those are only available via a smartphone app that will launch this summer. Seems a little weird. And they did confirm with my good friend Jason Schreier over at Kotaku that Nintendo Switch Online subscribers will have ongoing access to a library of Nintendo classics with online play. And users can play as many of the games they want, as often as they like, whenever they want, as long as they have an active subscription.
Wait, so is that like virtual console?
like PlayStation Now.
It's
But
like
now it's Virtual Console. PlayStation Now had a baby.
something like that. We don't know
Okay.
if this will replace Nintendo's Virtual Console, because Virtual Console is you buy and you download them, but
Mhm.
these you will be able to just play the games without downloading them or without
So
purchasing them
streaming
outright.
Them?
Not
I mean, it has to be streaming if you
it
don't
has to
download
be
it.
streaming. It
Yeah.
doesn't specify, but ongoing access to a library of classic games. So maybe it is download or streaming. It will launch with SNES games only, and Super NES games are under consideration. And I'm assuming everything from every other console after that is also under consideration. So that broke today.
Just do it. Under consideration, my ass.
Just do it, Nintendo. What do you think,
Yeah.
Britt, as the resident Nintendo super fan?
Oh, yeah. I'm just kind of baffled about this smartphone shenanigans. Like,
Yeah,
it's
that's
such a
weird.
Nintendo thing to be like, hey, we're not going to do something in a way that's been proven and tried and works really well. We're going to create a smartphone app. Nintendo. So I just heard about this just now, Alexa, when you told me. So I'm processing it. So, because something people have always complained about when it comes to these virtual console situations is, okay, so on the Wii, I bought Chrono Trigger. On the Wii U, I had to buy Chrono Trigger. Am I going to have to buy it again, or am I going to have to pay so I can stream it? So I'm just kind of like calculating where that all fits in. So that's where my
Wait,
mind
you had
is
to
right
buy
now.
it twice. That's some bullshit.
Unless you like did like the whole like digital download memory transfer shenanigans. But that's a pain in the ass. And
That's a
it's
good
kind
word
of
for it. Shenanigans.
shenanigans. So
I'm
that's
still
my
kind of
initial
confused.
thought.
Maybe I missed the explanation about what the app is for.
The app on the
For
smartphone is for online matchmaking, so lobby features and chat, because there's no actual chat. And something they also announced today, I don't know if any of you saw it, there's an official chat headset just for Splatoon. But in order to hook it up to your Switch, you need to hook it up into like a third party thing, and then hook it up into your phone, and then also hook it to the Switch. And it requires like 4 cords. I don't understand.
Why?
Yeah, I don't understand why Nintendo can't just do chat. I understand family console, dick pics, angry people online. I get the thinking, but
no, I mean, but like both PlayStation and Xbox have things that keep mature content out of the hands of young people. I mean, that's why parental controls exist on both of those consoles.
Yep.
If you're going to use a third-party app, I mean, why wouldn't you just use like Discord? If you have to have another device with another set of cords in order to have chat while you're playing online with somebody, like what's the point of using Nintendo's app? Because I mean, let's be honest, is Nintendo really going to nail this?
No.
I mean, no
No.
way, right?
No, and that's why I love Nintendo, and I always love Nintendo, and I will always be at midnight launches for Nintendo. But I just don't fucking understand what they're thinking half of the time.
I don't know why they keep trying to like reinvent the wheel. Like everyone's already done this. Like just
Right.
literally copy them. That's all you need to do.
Or just use somebody
Yeah.
else's service that
Stop
already
using
exists.
friend
Yeah.
codes. Like build a
Yeah.
real system.
Because it
Do it.
it turns people off, and people don't end up using the system because it's so inconvenient compared to what's already out there. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
don't
Nintendo.
have to pay for Discord.
right.
Like it's free.
20 but an extra $20 a year. Like I know PlayStation Plus now has sort of like has gated the online features for a lot of games, but I can't justify paying $20 a year for an online service that also requires me to have an app on my phone in order for me to use any of the stuff I would actually use it for, which would be being able to communicate with my friends while we play Splatoon online. So
you have to just think of it as you're not paying $20 a year for that. You're paying $20 a year to access the virtual console, basically.
So that $20 is the subscription to access these games as well.
Yeah, or it's $4 per month or $8 for 3 months.
Well,
Wait,
I mean, like
these
$20
are
per
two
year is
separate
like a no-brainer.
subscriptions, or it's the same?
It's the same, but if you don't want to subscribe for a year, like if you just want to try it out
Yeah.
for a month, it's $4.
Well, I mean,
Got it.
Xbox Live Gold and PlayStation Plus
Or 10.
both they both have like the monthly or the 3-month or whatever options if you don't want to do the yearly subscription. But I don't
I
know.
mean, to be fair,
I think
go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I'm just gonna
No,
be
I'm
like
saying
Nintendo, blah.
No, we all feel away. Bright side of things. So when this system or this whole program comes to be, if it's going to be Super Nintendo games, you won't be playing those online anyway. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to be like, okay, it's all right. If you really want to play online, go through your 15 chords and your 18 apps and your microtransactions to use the apps, and then go for it. But if I want to play like Breath of Fire or something, then I don't need it. And then I'm
I
happy.
think for most of the games on this service, you don't need it, and honestly, for most Nintendo games, you don't really.
Yeah.
So, that's why I don't think I would think of it the way Alexa said. It's like $20 a year for an online service. That's not what it is. For me, it's like $20 a year to access old games.
Yeah.
I mean
Which
that's really
It
the
doesn't
only thing
sound
that's
that
worth
Yeah.
bad to me. $20 a year is
No.
not that much.
But
Pricing
also
model
like
is fine.
yeah.
But it's the smartphone thing. I'm just like, why?
Yeah, the smartphone thing's just baffling. You're like, what?
I don't understand why you need an additional app for like lobbies.
Well,
But it's on your phone and
You-
not on the actual console.
You need
I don't.
it because they didn't build it into the architecture of the
Boo.
Switch, right? Like
Why didn't you?
that's why you need it.
Why?
Because the vast majority of Nintendo games, as Britt said, are not multiplayer online games that require you to have chat with people, right? The vast
I mean,
majority of
I know,
Nintendo
but you
games are
could
either local multiplayer or they're single player.
I know, but still,
Family friendly.
would it have been that hard?
All right. Well,
Okay.
we'll hopefully find
Move
out
on.
some more nitty gritty details about that service and other things that
Goodbye
Nintendo
forever.
is bringing to the Switch. At E3, we will be talking about some Nintendo stuff later up in the show. We will have some E3 wish list items and prediction type things we would like to see. But we have more news. The news that kind of makes me a little sad. Middle Earth Shadow of War has been delayed 2 months to October. So this isn't like the most dire of news. I think it's still coming
No.
out this year. It's now moved from August 22nd. It will now be on October 10th. There wasn't a specific reason given apart from Monolith's desire to deliver the highest quality
highest
experience.
quality experience.
Which
I'm
which is
wondering
fine.
if this
Cute.
was like a publishing oops versus a development oops.
No, I think this is
Because
probably
usually
like a polished
shorter,
thing,
shorter,
right?
shorter delays like this usually make me think like, oops, we forgot to like we forgot to plan out a global release or something like because I've seen that happen before. Whereas I think development pushes are usually a little longer. 2 months you're really not able to do that much, unless it really needed like the most minute of polish on it. I don't know. I think in that case it could be bad.
It could be that when they announced it, they knew that they wanted it to come out later, but they announced for August to wait and see what else was coming out for the rest of the year.
That makes
AKA
sense.
Red
Before
Dead.
they're like, oh no, it's October 10th. I've heard of friends at other studios using that tactic before, not very often, but everybody kind of wants to know when everybody else is coming out first before they pull the plug, like
'Cause
or
it's
pull
not-
the trigger.
Yeah, because it's not like
Yeah.
movies where all of that stuff is planned years in advance and like
Right.
the release dates are set and everybody knows. For games, like those release dates are slippery little suckers. They just come and go, you know?
Sure do.
Can't get them.
Yeah,
Like South Park.
Wow.
like South Park. Speaking of a slippery.
That wasn't a segue. I don't actually have a segue to a South
No.
Park.
But
piece
also
of
like
news. Sorry guys.
Shadow of Mordor was really good, and honestly, that studio can take as much time as they need.
Yes,
So-
please. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for
Do
that
what you
game.
got to do.
That game is very high on my to play list. I have to admit I have not played it yet, but I know I would love it. I just have to
What?
do
Oh,
it. I
it's
want to
super fun. I actually 100%ed it. And I don't
Dang.
really want games,
Go
so
girl.
yeah, it was fun.
Britt, get on it. It's great. All right, next story. The new Assassin's Creed character has leaked. Surprise,
Bayek.
surprise.
Oh, is that Britt?
Bayek.
Bayek.
The rumored
That is his name.
So-
Bayek.
The photo
Good
that
name.
we see is so the new protagonist is named Bayek according to the t-shirt pictured below. The photo was first published by a Facebook fan page and then shared to Reddit. So, I mean, this looks like a pretty, I mean, just from this t-shirt image, it looks like a pretty generic Assassin's Creed character. He's got the hood, he's got the gauntlets,
But
he's
he's got a
holding a bow and
bow.
arrow, he's got a shield.
Mhm.
You know, like,
Veiny arm muscles, you know.
yes, he looks
He
like
lifts,
he's a
bro.
man. It's not surprising. Somebody once, I was talking to somebody earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday. It was like, oh, I've heard that the new Assassin's Creed lead character is going to be a woman. And I was like, ha 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 ha. No, that's never
LOL.
happening.
Really?
But it's just, you know,
Hard
it's
to animate.
yeah. I
really.
mean, those lady parts, they're
They're
just
just
so
all over the
challenging.
place.
No, but I love the Assassin's Creed team. I'm a big fan of what they do. I'm a big fan of this franchise and these games. So I'm excited to learn more about it. Obviously, they've been trying to hold everything secret until their press conference at E3. This came out. I don't think it's a big deal to me. Like, I don't care if these little pieces of information leak because I really just want to see a nice, lengthy gameplay demo on stage.
Yeah, I would love another a gameplay demo or a really excellent movie like the year they announced Syndicate and they had that really elaborate like music video trailer where like the horses drove off the bridge and like
there'll
all
be
that
another
other
one.
stuff.
Ubisoft loves their cinematic
They love
trailers.
that
for
How many
Assassin's
Assassin's
how many horses will be sacrificed in this year's Assassin's Creed trailer?
Do you guys remember the
Well,
one
that's
for? Oh, do you remember the one for Assassin's Creed 3, where they had that Imagine Dragons song? and it was like
Yes.
so epic. No,
They do know how to make
No
a good
one?
Assassin's Creed trailer.
Okay.
I'm just
Well-
excited about the ancient Egypt setting. To me, that's very, very
Yes.
exciting.
Thank you for not putting it in Europe yet again.
Europe
if it was
is
gonna be
boring.
somewhere in Europe, I was gonna snooze right through this title.
I'm gonna snooze.
Assassin's Creed, ugh, boring. Another European title.
Sorry, European fans out there. Nothing against Europe. Europe is a wonderful place. They just needed a little
Sure
change
is.
of pace.
Still waiting
Exactly,
for my feudal Japan Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Still waiting.
Well,
I'm
did
sure
you play
they'll get around to
the 2D platformer titles, the Assassin's Creed titles? They were actually pretty good.
No,
But it's
Oh,
not
that
real.
face.
I want that.
No, it's not the same thing.
Not the
No.
same.
It wants to like run around on buildings and shit.
Yeah.
You can do
Well, I
that
mean,
in any
you
Assassin's
were
Creed game.
you were
though.
running
Not
around
at
on
the 2D
buildings
not the
and shit.
2D platformer.
Yeah, you were.
Oh,
I mean, you weren't.
I mean,
yeah, you were.
Okay, it's not. It's not like the same.
Of course not, because it's 2D. It's not 3D. It was technically 2.5D if we're being specific.
Mario.
2.5D.
Okay, so moving on. Pokemon Go. You guys, anyone still playing Pokemon Go?
No.
I tried.
I
I
played
tried
a lot
after
of
they
it when it first
implemented.
came out, but
So did I. I
A lot at
spent
first,
close.
too, yeah.
I think I spent close to $1,000, honestly, playing
Wait,
Pokemon
what?
Go.
wait,
What?
no.
What?
I'm not-
1,000?
That's you're exaggerating.
Get
This is-
out of here.
This
No,
is
you didn't.
hyperbole.
No, I haven't counted, but I would say a healthy range of 800 to 1,000. It was literally an addiction. No, I know. Don't you can actually judge me. It's fine. Go
You
ahead.
biddies got on me about spending $160 in Fire
My
Emblem
jaw-
Heroes, and you
Jaws
spent
on the
$800
floor.
in Pokemon
No.
Go.
I didn't even realize it. I was just like, oh, I need incense. Oh, I need this. It was really bad. But how I justified it, and now looking back on it, it's fucked up, is it would get me outside for literally 3 to 5 hours a day. And I was walking around. It was the most active I'd ever been. I lost like 10 pounds. I'm like, you know what? This is something it's hard for
Personal
me to do.
trainer.
And if I would rather pay $800 and lose 10 pounds, and then, I don't know, to me, it was worth it. It was worth the price tag. Looking back on it, I could have easily accomplished that for free.
I don't even think like Jenny Craig
Not
would have
fun.
cost you $800 to lose 10
I'm
pounds.
just
No,
saying.
Jenny
saying.
Craig's expensive, girl. It would have
I'm
cost
But
not-
it
more.
wouldn't be $800. I mean,
Yes.
maybe it would. I don't know.
That's
Okay.
great though,
Well, then-
Britt. I'm glad. No, here's the thing. I don't want you to feel like we're giving you a hard time because we're not. Because here's,
Okay,
no,
I
no,
am,
no,
I
no.
am.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Because I'm a firm believer that the money you spend on games is all about the value that you get in return for it. And if you enjoyed all of those hours that you played it and you buying those products within that game contributed to your enjoyment of that time with that product, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. This is why
you.
free-to-play games are so popular. And it's not because it's shit content, even though there are plenty of crappy free-to-play games out there. But like a game like Pokemon Go from Niantic clearly created a fun, addicting experience that was very interactive and got millions of people around the world into this community together. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with the fact that you spent that kind of money on that game because you're like, hey, I had a great time playing that game. So hats off to you for finding something that you
Andrea.
love.
But you give me
That
so
is-
much
that's-
shit.
That's
for
a good point. No, that's the thing. I'm like, no, but she gave
Wait.
Alexa shit for spending $160. So that's the only part where I'm like,
Wait, no.
Brittany.
Here's the difference, though. She was spending it on like RNG shit, though.
Doesn't matter. She
Right?
Yeah.
spent her
I
money.
wanted
but,
one
like,
character.
That stuff makes me angry because I
like,
hate
It's pretty bad.
I hate the fact I don't think there's anything wrong with buying content in games. Charging for cosmetic items, buying, packs for treasure, whatever, right? In-game currency. When a developer says, you have to give me money and then I'm not going to tell you what you're going to get, it's going
Yeah.
to be a random roll.
literally
You
a
have
card
no
pack.
idea what it's going to be. And there's some games don't have systems in place that prevent you from getting the things that you've already have in your inventory. And
Yep.
that is even worse. This was a big problem of mine with the original multiplayer in Mass Effect 3. They fixed a couple things with the microtransactions for Andromeda, but RNG is a whole nother conversation for another time. We haven't even
As
gotten
a
to the
woman
news yet,
with
you
the
guys.
entire pack of Lion King trading cards. I mean,
Trading cards are the worst offender. They were probably the original offender,
that's,
right?
that is. That's literally what they're based on. Everything is now based on those trading card games from when we were kids.
Hate it.
Anyway, so there's actually news associated with this.
Yes,
Oh,
Pokemon Go. An interview with a Brazilian outlet with a member of Niantic, the mobile games developer, suggests the multiplayer and legendary monsters are on the way, according to Polygon.
Finally.
So what the vice president of strategic partnerships at Niantic told O Globo, because of the great success, we had to postpone some new features that were planned. Now we are working on some new features for next summer in the Northern Hemisphere about how to give more value to the choice of the teams, the release of legendary Pokemon, and battles between players. So, Britt, as clearly the resident PokemonGO expert,
I'm just a sucker who spent too much money. But go ahead.
are you excited about this news, or are you like, meh, my time is over?
Meh, my time is over, kind of. So when Pokemon Go first came out, it was obviously super addicting and super fun. And I spent a lot of money and I got out more than I ever had. I met some people actually like outside downtown walking around. It was great. I burned out because there weren't any more Pokemon for me to find. And if I wanted to catch a new Pokemon, I'd have to drive about 30 minutes away from my house. I live on 4 acres, so I get Pidgeys and Caterpies, and that's my life. So I'd have to go to
For
populated
power
areas.
leveling.
Just start a Pidgey farm.
I should, right?
Farm.
Pidgeys
Pidgey
are
farm.
essential. You need
They are.
Pidgeys.
They are.
You do. They're very expendable. And so I always thought once Niantic implements new Pokemon, I'll become re-addicted. It'll be fun. I'll spend another $800. Yay. So they did recently, I think it was 60 new Pokemon they released not that long ago, or 60 or so. And I tried to get back into it, but for some reason, it just didn't have that same spark. No one else is out walking around like they were when it first came out. That community factor feels like it's gone. And I think a lot of that has to do with the gameplay of Pokemon Go. It's simple, which is good, but it's too simple
It's
now.
shallow.
Like, yeah, like gym battles, it's just that you just tap the screen and you win. There's no real strategy involved. And I think for me to get really involved, give me a buttload of new Pokemon, update the strategy component of it, give me multiplayer battles, give me trading, and
But
give
like
me
real
more
multiplayer
variety.
battles.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah,
game.
absolutely.
Like my
Yeah.
fear would be like they're like multiplayer battles, but it's the same thing as the gym. So like
Right.
you're not even really doing
No,
anything.
make
You're
it like
what
the
is
gameplay
point?
battles as much as you can. I know there's limitations because of what the app is and how it operates, but implement that strategy, and I think
Fix
I'd give it
them.
another shot. Yeah. Wouldn't spend $800 again, but
Because yeah, if it if they gave us multiplayer battles that are similar to what you can play on your DS,
Mhm.
I would download the game again in a heartbeat. I love Pokemon. I would love to play the game more, but it was too shallow. So I played it for a while when it came out. Did not spend $800, but
But did you
really
lose
liked
10 pounds, Steimer? But did you lose 10 pounds?
I can't.
Just kidding.
Say that I can't say that I did. So you got me there. But but yeah. So like I would like for them to win me back over. I like the idea of it. And my sister would finally shut up because she still plays and wants me to play with her. But that'd be good. We could bond over that again, like we did when we were kids.
Yeah. That's where I'm at.
Pokemon.
Barf.
All right. Well,
Barber. Oh,
that went a little. So now we know how Alexa feels about it.
When they introduced a Pokemon that was a literal bag of trash, I checked out.
I mean, yeah.
yeah,
That's
true.
it.
Yeah.
And now
You're
there's
like
like a
ice cream
haunted
Pokemon.
sandcastle and a
That's
key
fair.
ring. Like, I'm done.
I mean, is this
it's
your
tricky.
first time playing Pokemon?
No, I played them all the time as
I
kids.
feel like it's always been like that.
Yeah, but
No,
I
Red and
was
Blue had
okay.
Good ones.
Yeah,
You're
when they
getting
were like, they were like animals. They were like actual animals. And now there's like it's a haunted sandcastle. Who
Metal.
builds the sandcastle? Do the sandcastles give birth to other sandcastles? If it's an organic creature,
They
how does
build
that work?
other sand castles out
With
of
what
sand.
hands? They don't have hands.
They-
They're a haunted
If they're made of
sandcastle.
sand and they're haunted, they can make hands temporarily to reproduce. And then they will make baby sand castles that will grow up into real sand castles, or they'll just you said they're haunted, so they murder people. They murder people,
Jesus.
and then that soul becomes the new haunted sandcastle. Done.
Man, I've never
Wow.
wanted a sequence of this podcast animated more than the one that just happened.
The reproduction of the haunted sandcastle Pokemon.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you guys can workshop this concept later.
See you guys
We-
next week.
We have more news to get to before the end of this block, and we're already running long. So, we're not going to talk about this much because we're going to talk about it later in the hands-on section. But Life is Strange from Don't Nod and Square Enix. The developer announced last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago now, that Life is Strange 2 is in development and on the way. But it turns out some other things are potentially in the works as well, because some screenshots got leaked and it looks like it could potentially be a prequel.
Good.
So a new company was announced, Deck9, that used to be a group of developers at another company. And an enterprising young internet sleuth decided to dig around in their source code on their website and found these images. They, of course, since have been removed. The website was taken down. But the images are now out in the wild, and it looks like it's from Chloe and Max, the two kind of protagonists of this story, from their high school days. So their earlier high school days, her senior year, I believe it said. But I think this is exciting. We're going to talk about Life is Strange later because I just finished it. But yeah, so that's some news. I just wanted to say that news real quick, and then we'll touch into that later. But next
just
story.
To clarify, sorry.
Yes.
I think Life is Strange actually takes place when Max is already a senior.
Yeah,
So I think that
isn't the because isn't the prequel? Aren't they saying the prequel is about it's
Rachel Amber
about
and
Rachel
Chloe.
Amber?
Let me double
we
check.
don't. Nothing has been officially announced. These are all based off of the screenshots that have leaked, which show Rachel and Chloe together. So the thought is that the prequel will discover Rachel and Chloe's friendship before Max and Chloe reunite.
That makes more sense to me.
I'm also like,
fine.
that
There
was
you
one
go.
of the most like intriguing mysteries of that game. Like, I want to see Chloe and Rachel together. So
Yeah.
Who is this Rachel girl anyway? Okay, cool. So we'll talk more about Life is Strange a little bit later on in the show. Two more quick news stories. So I'm not going to go through the entire roster, but the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite roster was leaked. I don't think this is surprising to anyone. These kind of leaks for
happens all the
rosters
time.
happen, quite frequently. We're not going to go over them here. If you want to seek them out, it is available to you if you want to see all of the people that you're going to be able to fight. I have no doubt that we will see more from this game at E3. So we will, hopefully be able to talk more about it in a couple of weeks. The last story that I wanted to touch on was the Xbox Game Pass. It's officially launched. So we were talking about Nintendo's game service, but Xbox is officially out in the wild. You can download it and start playing games now. Ladies, what do you think about the Xbox Game Pass?
How
I
much
don't
is it
use
again?
my-
Can you remind me? I read the
It's-
article, but I can't remember.
You get a 2-week free trial, and then it's $10.95 a month.
$10.95 a month.
$10.95.
There are
a
more
month.
than
That's
100
expensive.
Xbox One and Xbox 360 games in the catalog, including Halo 5 Guardians, Gears of War Ultimate Edition, Payday 2, BioShock Infinite, and so many more. You don't stream the games, but instead you will download them, so you might want to consider investing in an external hard drive solution if you're planning to pick up a lot of games. So yeah, that's the big problem, right? Is that these games are big files, large files. So if you don't already have like an external hard drive hooked up to your Xbox, I mean, I think it's definitely going to be a must if you want to take the most advantage of this program. But I think that's
think
a pretty
it's
great price.
good. Oh, it's really good because
Really?
you don't need Xbox.
I don't think so.
You don't?
Well, really?
I think it's almost $11 a month.
Think about it. So you don't need Xbox Gold for one, and two.
Oh, you don't. Well,
No.
that's
Well,
not-
even so, it's $11 a month, and you have the entire month to play whatever game it is. So if it's a massive game and then you have the entire month to play it. The thing is that the games come and go every month. So some games come, some games go. So
Right.
if
it's like
you don't
Plus.
finish a game within a month, like Witcher 3 or something, if that was even on there, and you don't finish it, then you're kind of SOL. I don't know if you get to save. I don't know if you're
But
saving it.
you
but-
will save 20% on purchases and 10% on DLC. So let's say, for example, you want to download BioShock Infinite and you want to get the DLC that came with that game because some of that DLC was pretty great. And you will save on it and you want to keep it permanently. You can buy it at a 20% discount, which if these games are full price, that's really not that cheap because you could pick up most of these games in like a used game bin at your local game store,
Yeah.
probably for much cheaper.
Way cheaper.
But like you got to think about the convenience factor.
Yeah.
Let's say you get a itch to play like Halo Reach or something, you know?
Whoa.
And you're like, I really want to play that game tonight. I think it's a nice idea that they're providing a service. Clearly, they took some cues from what EA was doing with EA Access or PlayStation Now, even as another subscription service. And I think they're still, all of these publishers are still trying to figure out like what's the secret sauce is really going to get gamers excited about it. What's the right balance between offering a game, making a profit, being good to the agreements that they've made with the developers, right, who maybe own these games, to say, well, we still owe them money for these games, and also like making sure that this is a service that isn't going to cost them money. So I think finding the right mix of all of those things is still, they're still working it out.
Yeah, I think it's a great value. I mean, you know, $11 a month, you can play Halo 5 right now, you can play Gears of War, Payday, BioShock Infinite. You can finish all of those games within a month if you have a lot of time. So instead of having to pay $60, I don't know how much they're going for nowadays for each title, you just pay $11 a month. And then you can say, all right, I'm done. I played it next.
Yeah, I guess just coming off the Nintendo one where they're like, it's $4 a month. I'm like, $10. Oh, basically $11. Like, I'm like, what? But then, you're right. The Nintendo stuff's way older, so I guess it makes more sense. But, and then for me, I'm like thinking like, God, I have to pay another $11. I'm calling it $11 because fuck you, $10.95 or whatever is $11. And
Wow.
and it's marketing. It's marketing BS. I don't like it. And then I'm paying for gold probably, like most people pay. So then it's just like, I don't know. I get irritated when I think about being nickeled and dimed. That's probably not a great example of it, but you hear like, I'm like, cause then I'm like, God, and then if I wanted to go over on PlayStation, you got PlayStation Plus you need to get now, and then if you want PlayStation Now, that's more money, and then you got Nintendo over. I'm just like, I can't deal. I'm an old man on a rocking chair.
But they've got Farming Simulator 15, Blood Bowl 2, Defense Grid 2, Mad Max, NBA
Okay.
2K16,
I don't
Ollie
use my
Ollie,
Xbox.
Saints Row 4. This is a pretty decent list, and then that's just Xbox One games. There's a bunch of Xbox 360 games too.
What are the 360 games?
Well, I mean, you can see this. It's all of the Gears of War games: Gears of War 2, 3, Judgment.
Gears of War.
It's got Bioshock 2, Banjo and Kazooie. Oh, 3 games.
Hold on. Is Viva Piñata on this list?
Oh, Steimer.
Steimer.
I'm getting
getting
down. Yes, Viva Piñata and Viva Piñata Trouble in Paradise are both in this.
Them. I can just play them right now.
It's worth noting that the discount only applies to Xbox One games. Not
really?
a huge deal, but yes.
Oh, that is
weird.
good
Why
to
would
know.
you want it? What?
I don't know.
No, I know you don't know, but I'm just like, but the older stuff seems like it would be way easier to discount
Yeah.
because nobody really wants it anymore.
Except for you and I, who want Viva Piñata.
For the record, it is $9.99 a month, ladies. So it is a true $10. $9.99.
Not $10.95.
No.
I did.
Well, with tax, it's probably $11.
So,
Thank you, Alexa.
people who are
Thank you for the
listening or
correction.
watching, let us know what you guys think. If you think this is a good value, if you are excited about this, if you're with Steimer and you're like, too much money, I don't want those games. Give us your thoughts. And that's going to wrap it up for our first segment. Thanks for sticking with us. We have some hands-on impressions about some games that we've been playing coming up next. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. It's time for some hands-on.
Handsy.
So this week, we're probably going to end up breaking this segment into 2 parts and running into the 3rd segment because I have a lot to say about my time with Life is Strange. But we'll leave that for last. Let's start with you, Alexa Ray. You've been playing some Fire Emblem.
I have. I am maybe 15, 16 hours into Fire Emblem Echoes, which is the new game for 3DS. And I'm going to reserve making my final judgment call on it just yet because I've been playing a lot of other games and haven't really gotten to give it all of my attention. But I really like it so far. It has sort of shook up the formula from recent Fire Emblem games. It's not just a bunch of small maps, and you don't really have the freedom to pair off and choose which characters interact with which characters and get closer to who just yet. The maps are a lot bigger. It is Echoes is a reimagining remake of Fire Emblem Gaiden, which is one of the old games. The maps are a lot bigger. I have a lot more units to choose from. There are now explorable dungeons. So when you're not on a map fighting your battles, you can now go into a dungeon and explore over the shoulder, 3rd person, finding loot, fighting enemies, and collecting status buffs for your characters, which is really cool.
So exciting!
Brittany, you're excited. I have a copy waiting for you when you get here this weekend.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so it's a really interesting from the last 2 games, Fates and Awakening. It's a nice change of pace. I really like being able to run around in dungeons freely and not just move on a grid. So that's great. The story, however, hasn't hooked me yet. I don't care about anyone enough just yet to really feel any sort of emotional attachment to anyone or to their plight or to what's going on. But maybe that will change later on. I don't really have any affinities, haven't really found a husbando yet. So maybe once I find him, things will get better.
How many hours do you generally spend playing a single Fire Emblem game?
So there were 3 different versions of Fire Emblem Fates, and I put about 30 hours into my first run of each game. So that was 90 hours. Awakening, I put 45 hours into.
So you would probably feel comfortable saying you're anywhere from 25 to 50% of the way through the game.
I'm about 25% of the way in, yeah.
So that seems like a pretty decent chunk to not get hooked by the characters yet.
Yeah,
right?
I just don't care about any of them yet. And it's not that they're not, they're all varied and strange and have their own thing going on. Most of them do anyway. Some of them feel very samey. Like you start, there's 2 main characters, Alm and Celica. And Alm's little band of best friends are like 4 dudes that are very similar to each other. And then 1 girl that's just in love with him. And they're very boring and I don't care. And then you have Celica, who has her 3 friends that she's traveling with. And one is really shy, one is really sassy, and one is just like a dude who's just tired of everyone's shit. And she meets like a assassin along the way. And the people that she sort of picks up on her storyline are a little more varied and interesting, as are the classes that they play as. You have more mages in her line than you do in Alm's line. Everyone kind of starts off with a knife, and then you maybe give this guy a bow and arrow or give this guy a lance. But I'm not really getting that sense of variedness. I don't have variation in my units on his side. But they have like a connection from childhood that I won't spoil here, but I just don't care if they're together or not. Like they're like, we need to find each other, but also we're fighting on different sides of the war. And it's like, okay. Like I don't care.
Do any of them have pots on their head? And if not, do you think that that's the issue?
There are no pots on their head. But a lot of them are wearing this weird shoulder pauldron. A lot of the guys have like a shoulder and like 1 guy boob thing, and all the women are wearing that curvy boob armor. The boob armor
like
that
molded around the boob.
Yeah, that in real life would kill you because it would snap your breastbone like a twig if you ever got hit in the chest. Like they're all wearing that crazy boob armor. I'm not pulled into it yet. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe Brittany, when you start playing, we can have a discussion about it. You and I did play the same thing this week, right?
We did. your request, Final Fantasy 15, Chapter 13, Verse 2.
Can you
Right?
explain what it is for those listening?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I can try. You know, it's been about 6 months since I've played Final Fantasy 15, so I'm a little rusty in all of the lore and terminology. But there is a point in Final Fantasy 15. Okay, this could be spoiler heavy. I'll try not
I
to
mean,
make this
everyone
spoiler
knows
heavy.
about Chapter 13.
So I guess we'll say
I
then,
don't.
if you have not finished Final Fantasy 15, you intend to,
no.
and you don't want any story spoilers whatsoever.
Skip ahead.
Not that
Okay, bye, guys.
we're not going to make this spoilery if we can avoid it,
No, I
but
won't. I
there
can,
might
I can avoid it.
there might be. So just you've been warned, just in case.
I'll make
just in
No,
this
case.
this is
for
what
you,
I
Steimer.
get for not playing this game yet.
LOL.
So there's a point in. So I, first of all, for what it's worth, I didn't mind Chapter 13. I really, truly didn't. Alexa, did you, real quick, did you mind it?
Not for the first like 2 hours.
Really? See, it went so fast. I loved it. Anyway, so there's a point in the game where all of your characters are split up. So Gladi, Iggy are together. Noctis is separate, and Prompto is separate. So they're trying to find each other. And Chapter 13 follows Noctis in his journey to reach something, but you don't really know what happened to Iggy and Gladi during that segment. And that's what verse 2 focuses on. It's
Mhm.
short. It's like 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Does Iggy Azalea make a?
Iggy's
Iggy, God, no.
Ignis.
So Alexa, I know you were a really
Steimer.
big fan. You were a fan of this, right? I thought it was okay. It didn't do a lot for me though, but
It didn't do a lot for me either. So I
Okay.
sat down to play it sort of knowing that what verse 2 is sort of a piece of what Square Enix intends to add. Like if you noticed, chapter 13 verse 2 was added to the game in a special menu along with a survey asking players what they want to see the most added to the game as DLC in the future. And a lot of the options were like new playable characters like Luna Freya, Please God Please, and other side characters like Iris and Aranea, or new cutscenes showing what Luna was doing while Noctis was on his journey, or what other characters were doing while the journey was happening, or, you know, an extra level cap, new loot, whatever. And then under that was the chapter 13 verse 2. So that is a piece of what they're intending to add. Like they want to add more side stories when you're not just following Noctis. And I went into that kind of not expecting too much because I played episode Gladiolus I was late to the party on that came out in March. But I played that right before I played chapter 13 verse 2, knowing that chapter 13 verse 2 used Gladio's gameplay from episode Gladiolus. So you played as him. And episode Gladiolus didn't really do it for me. I liked the idea of him having his own time with Core, which is one of the characters that was like a friend of Noctis's father. And I was expecting a lot going in. It's like, oh, it happens. Episode Gladiolus takes place during a chunk of the game where Gladio leaves. And you never know what he's doing during that time. So this is his thing. And I was expecting a little more story content. I was expecting something a little meatier. They used Gilgamesh, who's my favorite like tertiary character in the entire series, of the entire Final Fantasy series. But they used him in a weird way that I didn't really like. And I thought the gameplay was really watery. And I didn't really get much out of it. And all it did was unlock time trials. So it's like an in-game fitness trial for you. In chapter 13 verse 2, while I liked the idea of, you know, Ignis and Gladiolus out on their own together because I believe they're secretly lovers in my Final Fantasy headcanon.
Really? Ooh.
Yes.
we'll have to
But-
talk
Have you
about
written
this later.
fan
Well,
fiction
well,
yet?
we'll talk about it later.
We
but-
will, yeah.
But it didn't really do anything for me, and it wasn't really special, and it did have a couple of cutscenes that were really illuminating to the story and what was happening while you were playing as Noctis, but I didn't get enough from it. Maybe if it was a little meatier and maybe there was a little bit more oomph to that story, but I just didn't. I understand what they're trying to do, and I know what they want to do, and I know that like that's what fans want. They want those extra side stories, but I'm just like, you guys are putting it out there, but I don't want to say they're half-assing it, but they're putting it out there and they're really missing what made the parts of that game great.
Right, I agree. And so one of my biggest gripes with Final Fantasy 15 was I feel like there was so much story that wasn't touched upon. And I feel like a lot of it was I don't want to say rush because I love Final Fantasy 15 to pieces, but I feel like there are parts that were left out because of time constraints or who knows what. And I feel like this is one of those segments that should have been tied in with the original story, probably expanded upon a little bit. So for that, I'm grateful. I want to know what happened to a redacted character, because when you are playing as Noctis, you know, you do find the character and you're like, bro, what happened to you? And this does shed light upon that, which is important. So I think this is the best we're going to get in terms of side stories. They're going to be these kind of random 30-minute DLC segments that probably were originally supposed to be included in the game, but now they're just kind of trickling out this way. So yeah, that's my thought on it. It was okay.
It was okay. I just hope that, like, so we're supposedly getting the Prompto episode this month.
Yes.
So supposedly they announced it as June. If you play through episode Gladiolus, you get a little teaser at the end, and it's all dramatic and shit.
Is it gonna be called Promptolius?
Steimer, I love you. Just don't ever change.
You're the best. Steimer with the dad jokes.
You're the best. I hope they put a little more heart into this one. Like, episode Gladiolus was cool, but people play Final Fantasy games for their story. They don't play it for the time trials. So
right.
I really hope that that's what they focus on with this DLC.
I agree. And I could talk about this a little more, but I'm not sure if we need to move on with our lives.
You and I would like to stream episode Promptolius with you. So we'll talk about that.
We'll make that happen.
Yeah.
We'll make it happen.
Because my eyes have kind of glazed over
I know.
a little bit.
Andrea's over here just like checking out, thinking about like,
I literally stared out the
what am I gonna
window
wear
for a
tomorrow?
Too, Andrea, so I know
that's
was like,
we should move on.
especially when Alexa was like Gladiolus, Gladiolus.
Iggy.
How many times can you say Gladiolus in a sentence? I don't know.
We'll make it a drinking game. It'll be fine.
Christiniolus.
Well, Steimer, you've been playing something kind of interesting.
So I just moved. So I just got my console set up. They don't have internet yet. I'm like halfway set up. So plus I'm running around. I have meetings all day. So I was like, what am I gonna do? Britt goes, download an iPhone game. So I said, okay. And I went to the iTunes store and I was like, what are the most popular games? And lo and behold, PewDiePie's Tuber Simulator was there. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna download this. And you know what? It's not that bad.
So what is it?
So essentially, it's a simulation game where you are a YouTuber and you have to create videos, and there's like a trending meter that will tell you which types of videos will get reviews, and you'll basically have only 3 options to create. So like basically, it's like make a video. It gives you 3 options of fake video titles, and then like what type they are. So it's like beauty or humor or a cult symbol. Is this a thing on YouTube? I don't know, probably. And so you basically go through and pick out videos. You're trying to get views. You're trying to get subscribers. There is a little bit of monetization with like rushing events or rushing deliveries on items that help you level up. But actually, I didn't think it was that bad, and I was easily able to like kind of go through that without being forced to pay or having anything weird happen. Like I actually felt like it was balanced in that sense. It wasn't like a shitty free-to-play game where you're like immediately it's like, and you're locked out. Like, give us money.
Yeah.
So I was enjoying my time with it. I was like, all right, it was basically, it's a good pacifier if you have nothing else to do.
See, when you said tuber simulator, I thought you meant a potato.
Potatoes?
Like a tuber.
No, it's like YouTubers, right?
Yeah,
like a tuber that you eat.
Instead of a tuba.
Yeah. Okay. What we could ask him to add that is.
I'm trying to look up what the sales are for this game.
Now I'm hungry.
Yeah, I'd be curious.
It has, in the Google Play Store, it has 1.2 million reviews.
No.
5 stars. The rating is 4.8 to be precise. That is bananas.
Damn.
That's very bananas.
Yeah, I think
wow.
Tubers. Decent chunk. Okay.
Almost like our iTunes reviews. Review us on iTunes.
There is a headline from Rolling Stone that says PewDiePie's new game is proof we're all doomed.
It's such talk about an over exaggeration of a headline.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Well, hey, I think it says something that it's not garbage.
It's not. It's
because-
actually a fun. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say because even though he's wildly popular within his community and he has millions of diehard fans who would support him to the ends of the earth, as evidenced by the things that he's gone through in the not too distant past. I think that it's good that he's making a game that that isn't garbage. It says here that it makes. Wait, no, that can't be $60 in estimated daily revenue. That can't be 60 million, maybe?
No.
How much money do you think PewDiePie is making from this game?
I mean, I don't think he needs to make YouTube videos anymore. I don't know about that, but I think
Tuber.
the other thing that was actually a fun addition to it was you could basically sort of gamble your views. So in order to speed up time, so I need an item for delivery. That item will help me level up. However, it takes 10 real life minutes for that item to get there, right? However, I can gamble. It depends on what level the item is. As you get higher level items, it requires more to play this game. Mini game within it called Puggle something like it's just 2 pugs. It's 2 pugs in real life. So basically, it's called Plinko in Price is Right, where you like drop the
Yes,
Oh,
Plinko.
yeah.
The classic
So-
Price is Right game.
Yeah, so it's basically Plinko, but it's like Plinko / Peggle, basically. But
That's a good
but-
combination.
Oh, I
but
love
with
Peggle.
the little pug, like the little pug is like falling down, and if it falls into the pool, you get an extra bonus.
That's
Like
cute.
I actually really enjoyed it. I was like, oh, let's just play this game all day.
Well, good. Glad that worked out for you. I'm glad my suggestion was not for naught.
Not for naught.
Not for naught. What about you,
Um,
Miss Andrea?
Well, I have been playing Life is Strange. So
Oh boy.
You finished it, right?
Yes, I finished it. So, I heard good things about this game when it was originally released. I kind of dabbled in episode 1 and then kind of like abandoned it and never went back to it. And then, I heard that Life is Strange 2 is coming out, and I was like, I never played that game. I should probably play that game because a lot of people said good things about it. And so I did, and I was like, whoa, this game is really intense in a way that I was not ready for.
Yep.
So I went in
Plot twist.
really with like no expectations, didn't know what was going to happen, wasn't really sure of what the gameplay mechanics were. And I was really pleasantly surprised in a number of ways and came away from that experience going, I really wish there were more games like this. Now, that said, there were a couple narrative things and a couple mechanical things that kind of, rubbed me the wrong way. But overall, I thought that this was a really fantastic game, and I think they did a great job, and I'm glad that they're making a sequel. Narratively, I don't know where they're going to go, because it kind of felt like the story that they told seemed
Included.
very contained, very like,
Yeah.
it had a very much like a beginning, a middle, and then it was done.
Not to mention the ending is very different
Oh
depending
yeah.
on how.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
super divisive
Yeah.
ending, which we can talk a little bit about. So I'm going to try my best to keep it spoiler free, but because
geez.
it's so narrative heavy,
It's been like a
it's-
year and a half. Just
it's been almost
just talk about it.
it's getting close to 2 years. So
Sorry, everybody.
if you guys haven't played it, it is actually available if you are a PlayStation Plus subscriber. They just announced for the month of June, it is available for free. So if you are intrigued by this conversation and you own a PlayStation Plus account and you want to check it out, you can play it for free. Otherwise, it is available
it.
on the other
All
platforms as
5?
well.
Or are they doing
Yeah, I
like,
believe
a
all
few
5.
episodes?
I believe all 5
nice of
episodes
them.
are available for free. But we could double check that. So, so the game, you play as a young woman, 18 years old. Her name is Maxine Caulfield. She goes by Max. She is at a fancy schmancy art school. She is a photographer, and she always has her trusty Polaroid camera around. The Polaroid mechanic in the game is something that at first I really cared about, and then I stopped caring about it. Like by episode 3, I was like, I don't know when I'm supposed to be taking photos and when I'm not. So there's a bunch of achievements or trophies that are tied to taking specific photos within the world. And I think, if I felt so inclined, I could go back for a second playthrough and go for all of those individual photos. But I thought it was an interesting idea that in this kind of day and age, because it feels like it's meant to be like modern day. It didn't feel like it was
Yeah,
like in the
relatively.
past, that somebody would choose a Polaroid as their photographic medium, especially when in the game she references like cameras that are worth thousands of dollars. Like she's like, oh, that girl has that camera that's like $6,000. Oh, that teacher has a camera that's like $20,000. But she's still using a Polaroid, which I thought was kind of an interesting choice.
She's artsy.
She's the original hipster.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
very
she totally
hipstery,
is.
actually. Yeah.
So she's at this school, and the idea is that she used to live in this town of Arcadia Bay, which is like Pacific Northwest. I think it's probably somewhere either in like Oregon or
think it's
Washington.
Oregon.
It is Oregon. Yeah.
It is Oregon. And
Yeah.
she left Arcadia Bay to move to Seattle with her family. And then for some reason, she went back to go to this school, which they kind of left unexplained. They don't really talk about her parents. You get text messages from them every once in a while, but it's kind of like an
They're pretty shitty parents.
They're bad parents.
Do you think?
They are.
Do you think they are?
Everyone
I mean,
is
they
a
just,
shitty
like,
parent.
ship their kid off.
Yeah, the game
All
is
they
just
do
full of
send text messages.
yeah.
But
shitty
think about
parents,
it.
The game.
Think about when you were 18.
Yeah.
Were you
My parents were
constantly
on my
checking in
ass.
with your parents? I wasn't. I was like trying to be independent. I was like, I'm a like a fresh adult. Like I want to hang out with my friends. I'm busy with school. Like I wouldn't immediately classify them as shitty parents.
I was not a fresh adult, and my
Parents
parents
were
were
like
on my butt until I was like 22.
Well, I mean, my parents were on my butt, but it didn't mean I was
Same.
responding all the time. But we also didn't. I mean, maybe I speak as the resident old bitch of this group, but I didn't have text messages when my first year of college.
No.
I got my
actually, we
first
didn't
cell
either.
phone when I was
I didn't either.
18. We had pagers back then, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh, no.
Don't laugh at me, Britt. I
No.
see you in the little
There
corner
were
window.
pagers, but I didn't have one.
No.
I wasn't cool enough to have a pager.
I need a
But-
pager so I can experience what it's like. Anyway, go.
No,
continue.
don't go back to that era. Never pagers. Never again.
I feel like
Anyway,
if I was 18 and I was not at home, my mom would be calling me like every night. She'd be demanding to FaceTime with me. She'd be like, I need to know what's happening with you. I'm coming to visit you like every other weekend. Like, I don't know. Maybe I just have very interested parents that seemed a little distant. Like,
I don't think that that's
No.
I don't think that that's weird. I think everybody's family is different, and your relationships and how you communicate with your family is different. Some people talk to their parents on like a daily basis. Some people talk to them multiple times a day. Some people talk to them once
Yep.
a month. I think everybody's relationship is different. So that being said, I don't necessarily think her parents were bad parents, but they're a very minor part of this game. You do have a cell phone. You do get text messages. That is like a small mechanic in the game. But basically, this game is an adventure game. You walk around, you check out stuff, you have conversations, you pick different conversation options, and that will dictate what happens in your playthrough of the game. I don't think it's as extensive as a conversation tree, which leads to narrative arcs, as what a developer like Telltale is doing, for example.
Mhm.
I did keep saying over and over again while I was playing this game, man, I wish Telltale games played this good. I
Yeah,
love
that
the
game is smooth.
yeah, I love the narrative work that Telltale does, but they have some janky mechanics in their broken engine, and this game
all I'm gonna say
was
oh,
great.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think Telltale's just better at the illusion of choice because actually I think ultimately at the end they both ended about the same, like as you would get in a Telltale game.
That's
Elaborate.
fair,
Because
but
at the end of most Telltale games, you kind of get a branch. I mean, granted, there's a little like smidgen more maybe Telltale, but it's not. I don't think it was as much of a difference as you might think.
That's fair. I don't know what all the branches are like behind the scenes. I'm sure I could look them up. I'm sure like for past games, somebody has worked out all the different branches that you can do in some of these games. But I felt like this game, like that the choices were more binary, and the choices in Telltale games have multiple branches. Like it's not just like choose A or choose B. I feel like in Telltale games, you can choose A, B, C, or D, and all of those choices will have impact on the story. Whereas in Life is Strange, it was like, oh, you either do this thing or you do this thing, and that's it.
So the choices in Life is Strange might have been a bit more binary, but there are a lot of choices that I feel like Life is Strange did a better job of hiding from you what choices are the big ones, like what are the ones that will have the most impact on your story. I might get a tad spoilery in this, just because it's the example off the top of my head. There's one character, there's a boy who really likes Max. And there are you have multiple interactions with him throughout all 5 episodes, and they're small. It's you either tell him where you're going or you don't. You take a ride from him or you don't. You're honest with him or you just feed him a story that he wants to hear. You spend time with him or you blow him off. You answer his text or you don't. And they're all very small. And in the last episode, it's their final moment together in the series, the final moment where you see them both together. And depending on the options that you have presented to him or how you have treated him, your most intimate option for saying goodbye to him is a hug, or depending on how nice you've been to him, your most intimate option is a kiss. And that option is not available to you if you haven't followed this breadcrumb trail like throughout the whole series. There's a lot of small things. I remember at the end of these episodes, I would look at the list of like, you did X for Y, and then the percentage of players that made the same decision or made the different decision. And there were a lot of decisions that I looked at and I was like, wait, I don't remember making that decision, because there are small things that you can just completely skate over that actually have a very large impact. So I think that for as much as I thought the narrative sort of fell apart in the last 2 episodes, they did a really good job making Max's story your actual player story. Like I remember I reviewed that game for GameSpot when I was there, and I just remember replaying episodes like 3 times to see as much as I could, and I would still end up with this mishmash outcome that wasn't as cut and dry as, okay, I took option A at point B. So I think they did a really good job with sort of weaving that web.
Absolutely. And I think that what was so intriguing to me about this game is that they tackled so many really heavy subjects.
Right.
And from a narrative perspective, that stuff is really kind of scary sometimes to broach with your audience, because it can be taken in so many different ways. I mean, we're talking about drug use, about abuse, suicide, murder, domestic violence, criminal activity,
self-loathing, a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, like, and then of course, like,
paraplegics.
yeah, the not only just like these really heavy topics. I mean, even assisted suicide came up as a topic, but like
right to die.
All of that stuff comes up, and then on top of that, you have this kind of like base of teenage angst. Like the things that you go through as you're transitioning from being a teenager and into an adult, that like stuff that begins at 16 and goes through like your early 20s. And, for people that have been through that, which I think is probably the majority of people who are listening or watching this show, like I remember there was a couple of scenes between Max and Chloe. So Chloe was her BFF from like her younger days in Arcadia Bay, and when she left Arcadia Bay, she kind of lost touch with Chloe, and then when she came back, she and Chloe are kind of reunited, and they rekindle this friendship that they had. And I think we all have had that one friend who we were super close with when we were young that we just kind of lost track of. And I thought back to like the girl that I hung out with as a kid, and how I was like, man, like I had those moments with her. We were so close. We said that stupid shit to each other that seems so silly and trite when you like hear it as dialogue in a video game, but you're like, that's the way it was. Like that's the way you talk to your friends and the way you behave and the things you do with each other. And it really kind of struck me in a way that I've never had a game do before, and that's why I thought it was super powerful.
Yeah.
It's really funny you say that because I had the same experience with you, Andrea. I went into the game not knowing anything about it. I heard a lot of good things about it, and I fired it up, and it's the video game that I have there's a better way to put this, but it's the game that I've resonated with the most. Every character in that story, through the first couple episodes, I knew them in high school. You know, I knew the mean blonde girl. I knew the jocks. I knew the poor loner nerd guy who was sitting under the tree, you know, and I resonated a lot with Max because I feel like Max is quiet. She kind of gets along with everyone, but at her core, she's kind of a loner. She has her one friend. And what I loved so much about Life is Strange is it sounds cheesy, but it almost allowed me to relive my high school years. But I felt like I was able to guide Max and be like, this is how you want to live your life. You want to be true to yourself. You want to stand up for what's right. All these things that most people not most, but some people may not have had the courage to do when they were in high school. So it was really cathartic. And I was just so surprised that this random game that I knew nothing about is the game that clicked with me the most. I mean, I had the friend with the abusive stepfather. It was weird. It was almost eerie how much like it resembled my life back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just really cool for me. It was like, whoa, it's happening.
I'm going to throw out my controversial opinion here that Chloe is the worst friend of all time.
It's not controversial.
I mean,
is a bad
she
friend.
is. She's terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, because you were all talking about like how much you like this game like this, but do you like Chloe? Because I think she sucks.
No, I think she sucks too. But as someone who had a friend like that, you know, looking back on it, I'm like, okay, that was a really shitty friend to me. But at the time, you know, I feel like I want to do everything I can to help you. I know you have a shitty home life. I know nothing is going your way. Let me help you. So she's a shitty friend, but I feel like when you're that young, you might not quite have all of the adult experiences you need to know that she's a shitty friend.
Yeah, I think it was hard for me to go back to that mental state just because, like, I'm like, no, like I've done that. I've done this dance. Like,
yeah, sure.
Like, so when they were trying to get you to like connect with Chloe, for me, the ending decision was like easy as pie. I was like, obviously, I'm gonna do the other one. It took me 0 seconds to figure it out, because I just had zero attachment to Chloe, and so I think that's where they missed the mark for me. They should have maybe tried to make perfect friend, but like they should maybe tried to make her a little better so that I might actually care about what happens to her.
Yeah, so I think this is maybe will lead into some of the things that we didn't like about this game. I think the first 3 episodes were super solid. I think the narrative pacing was ramped up in a way that felt real. The drama felt real. The issues felt real. They didn't feel too over the top. And then episode 4 comes along and it's like shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
In a really kind of crazy way. They had this flashback sequence, this alternate reality. Like if you go all the way back in time and you change one little thing, it dramatically affects what happens in the future. This idea of chaos theory and how like one little ripple in the past makes these giant ripples in the future. And I was on board. But then they threw that entire ripple away. They're like, but you can like completely wipe away this alternate reality and go back to the current reality. But it got really dark really quickly.
Yeah, it became an episode of Twin Peaks. Like there's this giant segment in that last episode that's just like gobbledygook nonsense weirdness, and you have to parse through a lot of the themes and the tropes and the ideas of what's happened in the series as a whole. But it's so David Lynchian, it's like incomprehensible. I just remember playing through that segment and being like, when is this gonna end? This is a mess. I didn't get anything out of it. I don't understand what purpose this segment serves for Max's personal development, because that whole game is about her personal development. She's either using her powers for good and, you know, failing, or she's become this selfish monster, depending on how you play her. And I just didn't get it. Like the last episode was a giant messy vehicle to get you to that final decision. So.
What was worse, Chapter 13 in Final Fantasy 15 or the stealth segment in Life is Strange?
Oh, no, the stealth segment in Life is Strange. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry, but no.
Oh, God.
But no.
Bad.
That was a weird segment.
I I was playing it going, why is this in here? This is not, there's been nothing like this so far. And then it just felt so arbitrary. And you just had to spam the rewind button at a certain point because there was nothing you could do to actually like be stealthy through that whole segment like perfectly.
Well, like the thing that makes that game special is the way, and this kind of plays into what you were saying about Chloe's shitty behavior. What makes that game so special is its spot on portrayal of young female intimacy. Like when you're just becoming adult and you're figuring out who you are, and you either have that safety net of those friends that have been with you forever, or you're trying to make new friends. And in this case, it's Max coming back and trying to reclaim Chloe. But Chloe has already claimed Rachel Amber. So depending on your conversations with her, you're either bonding with Chloe and doing what she wants you to do, or Chloe is like, well, you left, or, but I had Rachel. And the whole time I was playing, I just felt like I'm trying to please this girl who I cannot please because she replaced me. And that is the person that she has she found her, her intimate female friendship with. And I can't come back and take it because I left. And episodes 4 and 5 kind of take all that away and throw it all out the window, and you're dealing with weird stealth segments and crazy boys and all that other stuff. So I feel like as long as that game focused on that relationship aspect and your decisions reflecting your relationship with Chloe, that game stayed together. So.
That's the more grounded elements of it. And then I think they did what a lot of video games do, which is decided to go a supernatural route, like,
gamey,
like some sort of a weird thing. And to me, that's usually where games lose me. I'm just like, okay, like whenever, for instance, this is a random tangent, but like whenever a supernatural creature comes into Uncharted, I'm like, okay, why? Game it doesn't need that, like I just feel like they're like, throw it in.
That's fair. I don't want to get too much more into it because I really hope that if you haven't played the game and this conversation has maybe intrigued you, that you definitely check it out. Like,
do it.
It was a really powerful narrative adventure game, and I really hope to see, more experiences like this. And obviously, they're making another one, so that's exciting. They're not bringing Life is Strange 2 to E3 though, so we won't have any more details about that. But once we do find out more about what's coming in the sequel, we will of course bring that to you guys. So that's
they are bringing real quick.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, go.
Vampire. Have you guys heard of that one?
Oh yeah.
VAMPYR. Don't know. It's also working on that. That will be at E3. FYI, it's totally 100% different from Life is Strange, but
so weird.
My question to everyone is: do you want to see some sort of, like, for Life is Strange 2? Do you want Max back? Like, because for me, I'm like, I want them to take the same mechanics and have a wholly different story. Like, go somewhere else.
Yeah,
do something different.
Agreed. I thought Max was cool. Her story was good. I'm happy to let Max's story be done.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
good.
agreed.
I just want to make sure we're all like. Cool.
Yeah. It needs to be about Rachel Amber because that was the big mystery of the first game. So.
But if that's the prequel,
or they could just completely go somewhere else, like leave Arcadia Bay.
Yeah, just
go to a new place.
I hope they leave Arcadia Bay. They can answer the Rachel Amber question in the prequel.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for our hands-on segment. Coming up in the next block, it's time to talk about pre-E3. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It is the third, and for this week will be the final segment of our show. During our break, we had a few technical hiccups, so we're just going to make this E3 Wishlist segment our final segment for this week's show, because next week is our official pre-E3 show where we will have a full preview of everything that is to come at the Electronic Entertainment Expo 2017. And hopefully by next week's show, we'll be able to announce the really awesome project that we're working on. We have a fantastic partner that we are going to be doing some really fun content with at the show. We can't say who it is yet, but we will be there. If you guys are going to be at E3, hopefully you can stop by and see us at our secret location, which is actually not secret. It's very public, but we can't tell you
You'll
where.
see us.
We can't tell you where
You'll see us before we see you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
So
True.
that said, ladies, E3, let's start by saying, when was your first E3? Steimer, when was your first E3?
It was actually, so my first job right out of college was working PR for Microsoft Game Studios. And so that was my first E3. So shit, what year was that? All right. I graduated college in 2007. And wow, 10 years ago. And I did not go to that reunion. Whoops. So it must have been the year, so 2008, because I didn't go the first year because I went home and then got the job in like the fall. So it must have been the year of 2008 was my first E3.
2008
girl.
was also my first E3. It'll be my 10th
Oh.
E3 this year.
Gross.
Whoa.
Gross.
That's
That's
so
a
many
lot.
E3s.
Why is that gross?
That's
like
a crazy
badge of
thing.
honor.
It's a crazy amount of E3s.
It's a lot.
Wow.
Get him out.
Well, how many
That's a
have you
lot of
been
BO.
to?
My first was in 2012 with Polygon. I've only been to E3 as straight up basic ass games editorial. So this is my first E3. I won't be like writing until 3 a.m. and hating myself.
Yay! Welcome.
So maybe I'll be
I've
hating
done that
myself
before,
for
Alexa.
something else. You what?
I've done that before.
Oh yeah.
For IGN. Yeah. Similar thing.
Well,
Or you're
yeah.
just like,
so this
my
is-
life is hell.
So it's my sixth.
Math. Britt?
I think
Oh,
My first. Oh, someone's saying something. Math is being had. I see Alexa counting
Six.
fingers.
It's my sixth.
6. My first E3 was in 2010. I was blogging on the IGN blogs, the community blogs. And through that, I met,
girl.
Yeah, I met 2 guys, and we started a podcast called The Noobketeers, which was hosted by Vagary.tv. I still don't know what that means or where that word came from. And that year, we were able to get in through Vagary's credentials. Vagary had like 15 different podcasts underneath them or something crazy like that. So combined, we were able to get enough, and I volunteered to go. And that was my first E3. So this will be my 7th.
that's
I'm trying
exciting.
to figure
Wow.
out how many I've been to. I haven't been to 10 E3s because there were a couple years in the middle where I didn't go. So I think I've probably been to like 7 or 8, but I don't know exactly how many.
Brittany,
A
I looked up vagary for you.
Is it still alive?
An unexpected and inexplicable change in a situation or in someone's behavior.
She looked up the actual definition of the word vagary.
That's what vagary.
Oh,
That's
I
what the
thought-
word means.
Merriam-Webster defines vagary
and vagary.tv has a Twitter, a Facebook, and a podcast.com list, but I don't
Good for
think
them.
it's
Oh yeah, that's the logo.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, at least they're still around and kicking.
Huh.
I've been on my own credentials now. I think this will be my 4th or 5th. This will be my 5th E3 on my own creds. So
Nice.
Look
I've been
at
able
you,
to do all
boss
of this
lady.
myself. I try. It's fun. That's why I love E3. I make my own schedule, do my own thing. So when people are like, "Oh, E3 sucks," I'm like, "No, it's fun." But
I know.
when
I
you're
saw
working
your
with someone-
schedule.
Yeah, it's tough when you work at an editorial outlet and you have back-to-back days of appointments, because the weeks leading up to E3 are so much pre-production. And then the scheduling, I don't know if either of you at an outlet were in charge of scheduling, but I've had to run E3 schedules for teams before. And to
Bless
any
you.
editors or managing editors or EICs out there that have had to do it, I feel you. It is so much work.
A lot.
You're basically buried in spreadsheets for like a month trying to manage
Fun.
it. But then it comes the first day of the expo comes, but even before that, the first press conferences, and they all used to be on Monday until Bethesda's like, we're gonna
Those
be
were the
on
days.
Sunday, and now EA is like, we're gonna be on Saturday, and I'm like, no.
And we're like, please stop.
But that Monday would come,
Stop.
and we would all caravan from starting with Xbox in the morning, and then you go
Yep.
to EA and Ubisoft, and then you go to Sony. Always had like the best food trucks at the end of the day when you're like
I
so
miss
hungry.
The food trucks. The food
Yeah, they don't
trucks
do
were
that
so
anymore.
Good.
Remember when Nintendo had press conferences at the Nokia Center?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
fun.
Tuesday morning. That's the reason why the conference starts at noon on Tuesday instead of starting at 10 like it does every other day, is because Nintendo used to do their big stage presentation Tuesday morning, but no more.
Never again.
And this year
Now
things are changing up. It's really started in the last couple of years with, EA and Activision both pulling out of the convention center, Disney no longer doing video games, so they don't have a booth space, and really kind of changing up. And this year's the first year that Xbox, that I can, at least in my memory, is not in the West Hall. They're no longer going to
No.
be side by side with PlayStation. The blue versus
gonna be
green walls,
weird.
those images you see every E3, not going to
Yeah.
happen this year because they
No.
are in a completely different part of the convention center. They're in the South
End
Hall
of
this
an
year.
era.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
PlayStation and Nintendo now, isn't it? Next to each other in that expo hall?
Yeah, I think
They've-
PlayStation kind of absorbed the space that Xbox used to be in, and now they're like, we are all of the West Hall.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of space.
That is
Yeah.
a lot of space.
Well, they have a lot of stuff to show, so
Stuff.
it wouldn't
But
be.
they also have a lot of
surprising.
space left in that hall because EA's gone too. Although wasn't EA in the
EA was in the South Hall.
In
They
the
had
South
the
Hall?
they
Yeah.
had the front and center position in the South Hall. That's
EA had the most cushy carpet ever in their
oh
booth.
yes, and for some
Yeah.
Mhm.
somehow they were managed to pipe in beautiful air conditioning into all of their little demo rooms. Some of those
Look at
rooms
that
get actually
mad
pretty
money.
cold. Yeah,
Back in
yeah.
the day, Nintendo had
It's
press
that FIFA
conferences.
money, yo. It's that
It's all
FIFA
that
money.
Yeah,
FIFA
FIFA money. Hope you're having fun, Peter Moore, with your soccer.
Oh, we miss Peter Moore's wonderful. He
He
was
was
one of my
great.
Seems like such a
favorite
lovely
people to
man.
interview. Really, really charming.
A+
Very,
dude.
very passionate. Very much a part of the community. I really enjoyed all the opportunities I had to work with him. But this has been nice, taking a little trip down memory lane. But this year has got some exciting stuff happen, and I want to kind of hear what you ladies are, excited about. So, Alexa, you're right next to me. Why don't we start with you? Tell me, what's like one of the things you're most looking forward to seeing at this E3? It can either be something that's been announced and you know is going to be there, or it can be like, ooh, I'm really hoping this thing comes.
So do you want the happy answer or the anguish soaked answer?
both.
Yeah,
Start
I
with
mean,
happy.
Which one do
obviously
you want
both.
first? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go happy. No, let's go anguish first, and then we'll end with happy.
Do you
Okay, that's
really?
true, that's
Do you
much
want me to roll out my Kingdom Hearts
Yes.
tiny violin?
Oh,
right now?
No, she
Uh,
said it.
should've known.
Oh.
So for those of you not paying attention at home, Square Enix recently announced that the Final Fantasy VII Remake and Kingdom Hearts 3 would be available for you to play on your home console of choice in 3 years or so. Now,
Or so.
We're all gonna be dead.
what the fuck?
We're all
Yeah,
gonna
no,
be
we're
dead.
all gonna be dead. That first
that's
game
in
came
Square
out.
Enix time.
Yeah,
It's 3
that
years of
fir-
Square Enix time.
Global warming
right.
will take
3
over
years of
before
Square
Kingdom
Enix
Hearts
time
3
is basically
releases.
10 years.
Yeah.
3 years is 10 years.
Pretty
Trump will
much.
be out of office before we get Kingdom Hearts, and that really upsets me. So, I know they said that the game itself is not coming out for like the next 3 years or whatever, but every year or so. Actually, no, I'm lying. Not every year they've released a tidbit. Sometimes they don't give a shit, but a screenshot like 5 months later. I think the last we heard anything substantial about this game was
2 years ago. right?
D23.
Was it D23?
When they announced the Big Hero 6 world, and then they didn't show anything at all, and then also a Keyblade was unlocked for Disney Infinity. Rip in peace. So
Rip in peace.
I'm hoping. I know it's 3 years out or so, but I'm hoping against hope that maybe there's something in Sony's press conference, maybe like a trailer, maybe a reveal, maybe they tweet a screenshot. I don't know. I'm just hoping for
It's
something.
gonna be a logo,
And-
girl.
or a logo. And at this point, it's just like every year E3 comes around and I'm like, I mean, as the girl who literally wrote the book on Kingdom Hearts, all I can hope for.
You can order it on Amazon.com.
Amazon.com, bossfightbooks.com, coming July, I believe. So all I can hope for is just like, give me a crumb, give me something, because 13-year-old Alexa, who played that game for the first time those many years ago, is now a cranky adult with all the money that can buy.
And it's
Buy
throwing
that-
it at you, but you're
buy
not
that
giving her
game.
the thing she wants.
Right. You can have my money. Just please give it. So like, I'm really hoping for some Kingdom Hearts. At this point, I'm not really expecting much, but if something happens, I will literally like jump out of whatever seat I'm sitting in and just roll on the ground and probably ugly sob. So
Well, they've already done the
And you're gonna
HD
be with me.
collection, so they
Yeah,
can't really do
but-
much more. They had the 2.8 final chapter prologue, and then the 1.5 plus 2.5 collection.
I'm so impressed that you remembered all that.
Girl, do you
What
know
about
how many times I read those pre-orders
Oh man.
back in the day?
Yeah. So just
2.5, 2.5.
give me a little
Mm,
Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom
I'll-
Hearts HD 2.8 final chapter prologue.
God, they could give me another freaking spin-off and I will eat that shit up because I am bought in and I am a sucker. So that's what I hope for. And then what I'm hoping to see that maybe is probably has a better chance of being shown. Earlier this year, they had a Nintendo Direct specifically for Fire Emblem games, and they announced Echoes.
Ooh.
They're doing a Fire Emblem Dynasty Warriors spinoff, and I hate Dynasty Warriors games, but I will totally play it because it's Fire Emblem. And then a new Fire Emblem game for the Nintendo Switch, which I'm really excited about. So I'm hoping we see more of Fire Emblem Switch and maybe get a little hands-on. That'd be really nice. So yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
How many
That's
Fire
exciting.
Emblems does it take to make Alexa happy?
I mean, it's the husbandos question. The husbandos.
Ooh.
The husbandos question. How
Ooh,
many husbandos
that's
does
a
it
good
take to make me
question.
happy? We haven't figured it out yet. It's like
Still
how many
searching.
licks
Love
gets
it.
to the center of a
It's
Tootsie Pop.
insatiable.
What about you, Steimer?
So the thing that I would love and will never get, and I'm aware that I will never get this, is the new Viva Piñata.
Ah.
But I know that that's not happening, and I don't, because especially because Rare is working on their pirate game. But the
Sea
thing
of
that I
Thieves.
want to see more of is Crackdown, because I loved the original Crackdown. Crackdown 2 was kind of like, to me, I don't know why I didn't like feel as strongly about it as I did Crackdown 1. But I'm hoping they capture a little of that magic again for 3. And I just want to see the game at this point. I feel like it's been a long time, and I feel like Crackdown is not that complicated of a game. It's like you run around and you shoot stuff, and buildings now can fall down, which is cool.
Yeah, you crack
So-
down.
You crack down,
Ah,
baby.
Ah.
And
good.
I want to play with you guys because multiplayer is
Aw.
fun. So that's just what I'm also just kind of hoping that Xbox like steps it up a little bit, because I feel like I don't have a reason to play my Xbox, and that makes me sad, because I used to play my 360 all the time. I played that way more than
Same.
my PlayStation. And at this point, I'm just like, I just feel like they've gotten stale. Like the only things that have really come out, with the exception of what Quantum Break, there's like a couple, but they didn't kind of do that well. And now I just don't really play anything on it, you know? Kind of, it makes me sad.
Yeah, I think
And now I just play my PlayStation.
No, you're totally right. I think Xbox has the most to. I don't want to say they have the most to lose, because I mean they're doing fine, but I mean they're behind, right? Like they're behind in global sales to the PlayStation 4 this generation. They clearly are behind in partner titles. People are playing on PlayStation 4, and I am with you. I lived on my 360. I never turned on my PS3. And this
Yeah.
generation has been the complete
Mhm.
opposite. And I really love what they did with the Xbox One S. I thought that they really came out strong last year with their hardware and said, hey, we're going to bring this new slim box. It does, HDR, it does 4K, it does all these other things, and you can buy it this August. Like, I thought that that was a really big win for them. And now they have Scorpio. And we're
Yeah, I
gonna
think
hear.
that was the
Mhm.
weird part to me last year, was that they were like, here's the Xbox S. And I was like, this is cool. I might buy it. And then they're like, but next year's Scorpio. And I was like, why wouldn't I just wait
Right.
for Scorpio? It was kind of a weird announcement to me.
Well,
Scorpio
I-
probably a lot more expensive. So from a price
True.
point,
$1 billion.
1 billion.
I don't know how much more expensive it's going to be. I think obviously, they tweeted out like a photo of the engineer with like the the CPU chip or whatever. I don't know if you guys saw that. They're
Just
like,
yeah,
look at
gets
the
me
the
going.
powerful processor of the Scorpio. And obviously just a photo doesn't really mean much. I'm sure we're gonna get the full specs, at E3.
How many
Um,
teraflops?
Wait, what?
How many teraflops?
I don't remember how many
all of
teraflops
the
it is.
teraflops.
The teraflops.
But I think for your typical Xbox gamer, they don't care how many teraflops it has. People that care about teraflops play on PC.
Are also giant nerds too, so
yeah.
whatever.
So
Also, it sounds like a dinosaur.
The teraflop.
it kind of does actually.
Yeah.
Terafloptosaurus.
But you never know, Steimer. There might be a Viva piñata. Like,
I don't think there won't
in
be
your
Viva
future?
Pinata, but I'm hoping they have something because I feel they've just been canceling a bunch of stuff, like Scalebound, which
yeah,
seemed,
those
it didn't seem
those were
it didn't
bummers.
seem like
yeah.
it was going to be fantastic, but it seemed fun enough. And then for them to just throw in the towel immediately, I was pretty bummed about that. So
Yeah.
I need them to announce some games that seem interesting and not just generic shooters. And I need them to stick with it and actually develop them.
Yeah.
Kind of the key.
Yeah, right? Stop announcing things at conferences
Ship
and then cancel them
games.
2 days
That's
later.
the ultimate goal.
2 days, 2 years.
Ship them.
Make
Yeah.
a video game. Put it in the disc.
yeah.
In order to sell a video game, you must first make said video game.
True. That's very true. Is there anything else that you are looking forward to specifically from Xbox? Is there something
mean,
that let me put it this way to you. You said that you're not playing your Xbox One. What game does Xbox need to show at E3 this year to make you go to dust off the Xbox One or to put in your pre-order for a Scorpio? What's that game?
Would never happen, but Fable.
Oh, yeah, right?
That's
Another
dead.
canceled game.
Dead.
Rest in
Oh.
peace.
This is the world's saddest
Why?
podcast.
You know a game that I was disappointed that, well, because I feel like it had so much potential, was Recore. Did any of you guys play that?
I did
Yeah.
play part of it. I had
Mm-mm.
fun for a while and then thought it got kind of boring.
I
Yeah.
like the premise. I think there's a lot of story there that they could have touched on and explored, but the gameplay to me was a little too repetitive, and I didn't like the style that you have to collect all of the things before you can proceed forward and other areas would unlock. Because I played it for maybe a few hours. I'm like, hey, this is really cool concept, and then it just didn't deliver. And then they try to like sell another like Game of the Year edition or something. I don't even know. That was a
My
hot mess.
other problem, Britt, did you like it was too brown. Like it was really ugly. It was a really ugly game.
Oh, I
Like a
didn't notice
banana
that.
that's been
Too
out
brown.
too long.
It was well, I mean, it was just
Yeah.
a desert, and they didn't really have any variety in the environments. Like you were either in a metal
So you're saying it's Gears of War.
container.
Yeah, it had
Ye-
potential.
worse.
It just
Honestly,
didn't-
worse.
Brown
Gears
Gears
of
of War.
Gears of War can't get any more brown.
Gears
I
of
was about to
Brown.
say, that's like the brownest game there is.
Brown of War. Gears of War Ultimate
It-
Brown Edition.
Okay, so when I hopefully will run into Phil Spencer anything
Oh
up
my
with
God.
Fable, please. Fable.
Hello, please,
Yes.
but not like Fable 3, like Fable 2.
Not like Fable 3 though.
3.
Beggars
Yeah.
can't be choosers, Steimer. You
Yeah,
take the
yes, they
Fable
can.
you will get. Okay, so there's a lot of things that I'm personally looking forward to seeing at E3, but one of the ones that I am most looking forward to, so I'll do what Alexa did here. My thing that I want to see, I hope to see, and the thing that I know is coming that I'm excited to like hopefully get some hands-on time with. So the thing that I am really excited to hear about that I'm hoping is going to be announced at E3 is this new massive RPG that Bioware Edmonton is working on that they have not talked about. So they've been working on it for a few years now. EA has been kind of mum about it. We got like that one like minute teaser like 3 or 4 years ago now. Don't know what it is. It's supposed to be
Mhm.
bigger than Andromeda, like substantially so. It's supposed to be sci-fi, and RPG. These are all words that I like. I love BioWare. I like what they make. We know that Dragon Age is in the work, but I really don't believe I do not believe we're gonna see anything about that at E3. I don't even think we're gonna see a teaser about it. I just don't.
Is that
No, I don't
is
think
the
we will.
BioWare game you're talking about the one with the online component that they've talked about? Or am I thinking of something completely
The
different?
AR game that they scrapped.
Hmm.
No, I thought I had read. I'll have to look it up. Carry
Yeah.
on.
So this is
My
the one that's
thing with the
codenamed
bigger-
Dylan.
You see.
Yeah, you
I
were
I feel
saying
like
Steimer.
here's what's happening with like games in general at this point is they're going it's bigger like, but I think that the bigness of it is they're going wide and they're not going deep, and that sounds
Right.
dirty, but it's not.
Oh.
And I hope that it
Oh,
makes
but
sense
it is.
because like you can have a giant world, great.
The
Is there
breadth
anything
is
to
large,
do
but
in
it's
it?
shallow. You want something that has
I'd rather have
depth.
it be smaller. God, it sounds so bad, but
You're taking
not
it
even
there,
gonna say it.
Steimer. It doesn't
Yeah,
have to sound this way.
I didn't hear what you think you're saying.
Really?
So
Yeah.
all right. Well, apparently
Maybe
in
it's
my
the
mind,
hand
I'm
gestures that you're
dirty.
doing.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm like waddle-yacha, waddle-yacha.
Okay, so this is where I pulled this from. This is a article written on Polygon, January 31st of this year, and the author is Allegra. And she said EA CEO Andrew Wilson teased details about the game, which is being worked on by members of the Mass Effect franchise. The game will have an online component of some kind, encouraging players to interact in a completely new setting. So that's where I was pulling that from.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I
I
think it's reasonable to
that
say
could be
that the
anything.
next thing the
Player too,
Bioware's
so-
working on will have an online component. I feel
Mhm.
like all games these days have some
Dragon
kind
Age
of
did.
online component.
Right.
But yeah, I want to see. I want another awesome RPG. I know that there's lots of JRPGs that you ladies are probably pretty excited about, but that's not my particular brand of RPG.
We're gonna get you.
I mean,
We're gonna get ya.
Don't worry, we'll
We're
play some
gonna
stuff
get ya.
together. But
Got you.
so I'm excited to see what they're working on. I think, like obviously EA has come forward and said that they're going to show Battlefront 2, they're going to show Need for Speed, which I'm excited about. Like the last time we saw Need for Speed, it was weird. It was like all-terrain vehicles and all kinds of other stuff. It wasn't just cars,
that's
and I'm like,
right.
It was that
Forgot about-
FMV game.
yeah, it was like all that concept footage, conceptual gameplay was like the thing of that year's E3. Everything was conceptual gameplay. And I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. This doesn't feel like Need for Speed, but clearly the franchise needs a little breath of fresh air. But I really want to see a great RPG. So that said, that's what I'm hoping to see. The thing that I know is going to be at E3, well, I guess technically I don't know, but I have to assume because it's coming out in October now, October 10th, is Shadow of War. So
Yes.
I loved Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor. Did I get that name right? Or was it just, yeah, I
Alexa's
did?
Middle-
like,
yeah. It was Middle Earth
yeah.
Shadow
I feel like I always add like an S or something there.
Oh my god. I hate it when people add an
It's
S.
just a
to
long
Shadow.
title.
Right?
Or
Shadows?
when they don't
no,
hyphen
just
Middle-earth.
Shadow. Yeah,
How
you
dare
have
they?
to hyphen Middle-earth, everybody. Take notes down whenever you write
Middle
Middle-earth. you must-
hyphen
There will be a quiz
Hyphen.
later.
Lowercase e Earth.
Or when you're
Lowercase
spelling
e.
out PlayStation, capital P, capital S.
Is it?
Mhm.
Is it a capital S?
Yeah.
though? Okay. Just
Oh,
checking. Just checking. I was.
Oh, yeah.
I was testing you. So this game, I saw it for the first time at GDC earlier this year. I got to have a nice chat with Michael DePlatter, who is
MDP.
the creative lead on this game. His official title is what again?
He's the creative director.
creative director. At Monolith, the studio that made the first one, published by Warner Brothers. And they gave us this beautiful, 30-minute presentation inside a movie theater at GDC, the Game Developers Conference. And I was like drooling. I was like, yes, I want it. Take my money, throw money at the screen. So they did a fantastic thing with the first game. If you guys never played it, they really made this innovative gameplay mechanic called the Nemesis system. Essentially, the idea is that you find and fight these various enemies throughout the world, and they remember that they fought you. They remember how they fought you, if you defeated them, if they defeated you, and that will dictate your interaction with them going forward in the world. And that was a really unique concept, something that we hadn't seen in video games before, and they obviously won a bunch of awards for it.
Very many.
And it's back. It's better than ever. They've added a bunch of new gameplay mechanics. I feel like they've almost added too many mechanics. Did you, either of you, any of you ladies, not you, but any of the other ladies, because I know that you've seen it. Did either of you two see it, or did you read previews or anything?
I've seen the trailers, but that's all I've seen.
I'm
So I feel
familiar
like
with
I
the
saw their
Nemesis.
gameplay. Was it a trailer, like the long thing where they kind of overviewed
Yeah, they
all
did
the
a little
systems?
walkthrough. Yeah, so
Yeah, I saw
essentially
that.
what they said is that so they're bringing in so the tower the fortress mechanics existed in the previous game, but they've ramped them up in this. So essentially you have to take down these bosses that oversee these fortresses, and in order to do that you have to kind of take out their henchmen first. You have to scout the fortresses, you have to figure out your way in, you have to kind of figure out like, do I want to stealth it, do I want to go guns blazing, do I want to go in with my henchman by my side to take out his henchman. That kind of thing. They've really ramped up all of the different mechanics involved with that. And then once you take the fortress over, you can then use that as like a base building resource. So if you now own that fortress, you can use that fortress to like give you bonus stats in other areas of the game. And so certain fortresses will have certain stats, like this one fortress by the sea will give you X stats in this category, and this fortress over here in the mountains will give you stats in a different category. And I thought that was a really cool mechanic. It almost brings like an RTS kind of vibe into an action adventure game. And I thought that was really cool, but I think it might be too much to manage. Some of the Ubisoft games also do this, where you overtake a fortress and then you kind of have to manage it. But then if you don't manage it properly, then the enemy can take it back.
As long as they don't do that, I think it'll be fine.
No, that's a thing. That's a thing, though, in this game. You have to make sure you leave somebody. Completely. You have to leave an orc in charge that's powerful enough to defend it.
Gotta watch those orcs.
Yeah, so that's part of the mechanic as well. But
that might be annoying.
But I really am looking forward to seeing more of this game, because as much as I really enjoyed my time with the first one, I didn't stick around and 100% it like you did, Steimer, because I felt like it was a really repetitive after a certain point. So I feel like they heard that criticism.
For it.
Yeah, so I mean, but like, what kept drawing you to it to want to 100% it?
I have no idea. It was one of those inexplicable things where you're like, or inexplicable, I think is the word. You just get sucked in, and that very rarely happens for me. And I don't really like Assassin's Creed games, and which is sort of it was sort of Assassin's Creedy, sort of Batman-y too.
It was very Assassin's Creedy. It was a good mashup of those two, of Batman and Assassin's Creed. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I'm like, yes. And even though I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings fan, I mean, I read The Hobbit, but I actually have not read the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Come on. Girl.
What?
Come on.
No, I know. She's not into fantasy lit. Didn't we talk about books last week?
No, I'm very much into fantasy. Like I said, I love The Hobbit.
I was trying to give you an out, Steimer.
Girl.
I was throwing you a lifeline to be like, yeah, I'm not, but now you're like, I am, but now I have to shame you.
It's just I don't know why I didn't read it. I read The Hobbit and then didn't move on to the other books, which is stupid. I don't know why.
All the husbandos are in the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
I do like high fantasy games in general. So that's what the setting drew me, and I enjoyed it. And then I was just looking for stuff to do, so I decided to go through and do all the challenges, which I'm not that gamer. I don't do challenges. I hate challenges in video games. I think they're stupid. But I did them. Why? I don't know. I just did. It was really weird. It was like, let's see, that one, Red Dead, Viva Piñata, Persona. These are the games I've 100%ed.
Good game.
It's just weird mishmash of things where I just get like a weird.
You had a wild hair.
Possessed.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I just need to keep playing this.
Okay.
And then I finished it all. And then
That's
I could put it
fine.
down, go away.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. So those are a couple things. Obviously there's plenty more, I'm sure, that we all are interested in. Do you guys want to kind of like rapid fire some stuff?
Well, Brittany, you're a big Dying Light fan, so you're.
I mean, it's okay, Andrea. You can skip over me. I won't be
Brittany
butthurt.
didn't say anything.
Wait, did I skip
It's
you?
fine.
Yes, that's why I went to segue into Brittany.
No, Alexa, you can just tell me. You can just
We're
be
not
like,
that professional.
you can
It's
just
okay.
be like, woman.
I
you
didn't want to interrupt.
Skipped Brittany.
I didn't want to interrupt. Anyway.
No,
Brittany, we don't care.
Brittany,
know,
I
it's
care.
okay.
I know you're just gonna say that you want to talk about Harvest Moon, so that's fine. We can talk
good one.
about Harvest Moon.
okay, let me tell you about farming. No, but I'm actually the one to end on, because this E3 is really weird for me, because almost all of my favorite franchises have released games in the past 6 months or so. So Final Fantasy came out, Final Fantasy 15, Breath of the Wild came out, Story of Seasons came out, Resident Evil 7 came out, Mass Effect came out. So I'm kind of in a weird spot this year where I'm like, DLC for those franchises? But yeah, Alexa, so Dying Light, I would love to see something related to the Dying Light franchise. It's a open world survival horror action adventure game, and it's co-op, which is what makes it so much fun. Huge map to discover things and craft and kill zombies, and it's just really, really, really fun to play with people. So if you haven't done that or checked that game out, you should totally do it. Other than that, I'm just kind of like DLC for Resident Evil. Maybe that's been delayed. Maybe we'll hear something on it. It's weird. This is a very weird E3 for me because everything I've wanted is out. I mean, it's already out and playable, and I've played
Your
it.
wishes have been fulfilled.
They have, and I'm very excited. The one thing that I would like to see that will never happen, it might happen. I give it like an 8% chance. Is Dark Cloud 3. That's something.
Yes.
An 8%.
Yeah, it's like a dead ass franchise, but it's so good.
It is so good, and I don't know why it's dead ass. The last one came out in 2003, I think, for PlayStation 2, developed by Level 5, and I'm a fan of it, but my grandma is like the biggest Dark Cloud fan ever. She's actually like, I think, Level 5's biggest fan.
I
She
love
loves
that your
Ni no
grandmother
Kuni.
keeps coming up every week. This
Oh,
is the
shit.
best.
Ni no Kuni too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking of Nino
That's
Kuni.
at E3 too. That's
Oh,
gonna be
man.
there.
I forgot
Yeah.
about that game.
So yeah. So if I could like if I could make one game manifest at E3 just for my grandma's sake, it would be Dark Cloud, because every time I see her, hey, is Dark Cloud 3 coming out? Have you heard anything about Dark Cloud 3? She can't say Ni no Kuni, so she's like, is Kuni ni no 2 out yet?
Oh,
So it's
that's
good.
cute.
But yeah, that's my short and sweet E3 2017 want list, wish list.
That's not
Yeah.
that's not bad.
a good
It
one.
does.
Yeah.
I'm looking up Dark Cloud here. I guess they said that they would have more information in 2015, but we never
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Well,
Whoops.
that was a few
Yeah.
years ago.
It was a few years ago.
Persona 5 coming out fall 2014.
Oh god,
Anyway,
Yeah.
that happens. Video games.
it's a solid
Wah,
wish
wah.
list from all of us.
Yeah.
Solid and sad. a
Oh,
little.
I also want to see more from. It's not a new announcement, but the Sony game at the press conference last year that was what's Sony Bend?
Days
What was
Gone.
the name of
Days
that?
Gone.
Yeah, Days Gone. Like I want them to show me how that is different than other zombie games, because I just feel
Well,
like there's a lot.
I can tell you what the developers told me in my behind closed
Oh,
doors
please do.
preview last year.
Yeah.
So I
Please
got to
do.
see an extended gameplay demo of Days Gone at the Sony booth last year, and I asked this exact question. Like I was like, because I was not having any of it. I was like so jaded. I was like, another fucking zombie game. Are you
Right.
kidding me right now? Like, especially since Sony and Naughty Dog had such incredible success with The Last of Us. And now we know that The Last of Us 2 is being developed. I don't think we're going to see
Yep.
anything about it at E3. Maybe
Yeah, it might
maybe
be a
like
little
a
early.
30-second teaser at most. But I really don't think we're going to see anything, because at PSX, the team at Naughty Dog was like, it's so far away. Don't get your hopes up. It's really far away. And they're promoting, Lost Legacy. But so what they told me was that what makes their zombie game unique, and hopefully they're going to expand upon this at this E3, was that you can use the zombies as a herd, and that's a mechanic in the game. So there are going to be certain things that you can do to use this zombie herd and kind of use them as a weapon, so to speak. So let's say, so in the demo that they had last year, you saw this guy riding on his motorcycle, and he's at this like little farmhouse, and then this herd comes in, and there's like a counter, right? He has to kill all of the zombies. So in the behind closed doors demo, they told me in order to progress in the game beyond that encounter, you have to kill every single zombie in that herd. Like they all
What?
have to die.
Okay.
That just doesn't seem fun.
That seems
Uh,
tedious.
I was like, how do you even do that? Not only is it tedious, but like, I guess an enterprising gamer would go, that's a puzzle. I can solve it.
no.
And I
Yeah.
say that seems like a lot of work in a game where zombies normally, a zombie mechanic, it's like a escape or fight, but like
Yeah,
you don't have to
that's-
kill
Yeah.
them all.
Right.
And so I said, okay, well, that's interesting. I was like, well, why why is that necessary? And he's like, well, you have to wipe out the herd because if you don't, then it'll have repercussions for the camp that you're working with. And so there are points in the game where you have to like, you know, kind of shepherd the herd of zombies to like an enemy camp, and then it'll take the camp out for you. And I'm like,
But then you just have more
okay.
zombies.
I
That's the
know.
stupidest thing I've ever heard of.
I mean, obviously this
Yeah.
was the first time they showed the game.
Right.
They're still working on a lot of things. I have to imagine at that point, that was a year ago. They're still like, you know, figuring it out.
Yeah. You don't want to be too harsh.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We don't know when this game is coming. We don't know what it's going to look like in its final form. I just know that the zombie category is very oversaturated. And in order to do it well, especially when you're going up against Naughty Dog on the same console, it's kind of like, well, the bar is real high. So
Yeah.
good luck
So
to you.
good luck.
Yeah.
Man.
Anyway, sorry.
So,
I don't know
No,
if you
that's
had
interesting.
had something else to say about Days Gone, but you said you were
No,
excited,
that's
or you're
actually
like, I could give 2
fascinating.
Fs.
It was more of like, I'm just curious. I just exactly wanted to know what you asked, which is I wanted them to show me why it was different, because from that preview I was like, cool, another zombie game. And also the guy at the end of that trailer is totally dead, because there's no way he could kill all of those zombies. You would run out of bullets. You would, unless you can use the environment in some way and you can
Yeah.
shoot a tree down that will barrel roll and just murder. I don't know. Like, there's just I don't see how
That's
it would
probably
work.
what it's going to be. If you have to destroy every single zombie in a herd. Now, I've thought many times about the zombie apocalypse and how I'm going to survive. So you know, yeah, you do use certain things to your advantage. You can knock down a tree. You can lure them all into a house and blow it up with your handy rocket launcher. But yeah, I'm just kind of torn. I don't want to get on a huge zombie tangent, but that's one of the things I love about Dying Light, that even though it is a co-op and even though it is like, oh, zombies raw, it is a very ominous, and it does have a really good story behind it, and it is freaky. Like, it's a creepy game, and it takes the zombie thing and it takes it seriously, but not so seriously where it's like a laughing stock. But it sounds like if you have to kill every single fucking zombie in a herd, that's just going to be not. When I think of zombie games, I'm thinking like survival horror, not like I have to destroy every zombie. I'm gonna go hole up in Costco and survive, not try to kill everyone. So I'm a little concerning, but like you said, Andrea, it was a year ago, so we'll hear more.
Yeah, maybe they changed. Maybe they were like, oh, that doesn't work. We'll change that.
Oh well. Okay, I'm done.
She's done. Drop the mic.
We're all
Good night,
done.
everyone.
Well, listen,
Bye forever.
we will have plenty more to say about other games, other hardware, other things that are coming to E3 in our official pre-E3 show, which we will all be here in the studio recording together.
Yay!
It's very exciting. Everyone's coming to San Francisco, so we'll be in one room. And we'll talk more about what Nintendo's bringing, what Sony and Xbox are bringing, what a PC gaming show might bring us, and of course, software. So thank you, everybody, to tuning in this week. Again, if you are not part of our community, we would love you to be. We are online in many places: patreon.com/whatsgoodgames, facebook.com/whatsgoodgames, Twitter, we are whatsgood_games. We're on Instagram at whatsgoodgamesofficial. Of course, whatsgoodgames.com. Our YouTube channel, where maybe you're watching this video right now. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you guys are listening to this on iTunes or Google Play or another podcast service, you know, we would love it if you could take the time to give us a review. Those ratings on those services really help us out, and we would be incredibly appreciative if you could do that for us. So thank you so much for everyone for tuning in, and we will, you know, bring you lots more content all E3 all the time next week. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Bye.